this is the Tenda AC15 wireless router from Amazon. It's just arrived, so let's open it up and see what we have inside. So Tenda do this at quite an amazing price for an AC1900 router. I purchased mine for about £70, I think it's selling for on Amazon, so that's quite an amazing price really. The majority of the AC1900 routers are about £120, £130 upwards, so for £70, if this is half decent, it'll be quite a steal. So inside we have a box. Inside that box we have our little manual, our install guide there. We have a GPU notice, which is quite handy, and a little bit more paperwork. We have our power supply. So if I open this up, you'll see it's a UK power supply. The input is anything from 100 to 240 watts and the output is 12 watts at 2.5 amps. That's quite handy. We have our main unit itself, a stand and an Ethernet cable. So let's get the box out of the way and see what the main unit's like. Take it out and let's take off some of the covering. You see we have this very shiny, almost bubble wrap sort of effect to it, as you can see, which is quite interesting. We have our 3 antenna. Now these are not detachable as far as I'm aware. Nope, they're not detachable. So if you don't like antenna, well this is not the router for you. But I quite like external antenna. I find you get a better reception with them, so that's great. On the back we have our different hubs, so it can't be placed on the back, it's got to be placed on its side. So on the back we've got our various different hubs. We've got ports, we've got the power port, the on and off switch, we've got a USB 3.0 port, which is quite nice. You get some good speed if you've got an external hard drive you want to connect to that. We've got 4 Ethernet ports, but one of them is for the internet, so you've only got 3 LAN ports. So if you're looking for one with 4, because the majority do come with 4, then this wouldn't be the router for you. But for myself, most of my devices are now wireless, so 3 LAN gigabit ports is more than enough for me. But it'd be something to keep in mind. At the top we've got the WPS button if you want to connect quickly. We've also got the Wi-Fi button for switching on and off the Wi-Fi. And the front we've got lots of different lights. So we've got the on and off light, we've got the 3 LAN port lights to show if the different LAN ports are on. We've got the internet light, the Wi-Fi light, and I'm guessing the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi light as well. But the WPS light, the USB light, and I'm not too sure what that last light is for. Maybe I'll tell you a bit later once I've had a chance to look it up. So it's quite a nice device. Interesting, some of these are a bit loose. I wonder if that can be tightened up. Ah yes, there we go. So that's pushing them in, they tighten up. So they're quite nice. They can be put in whichever direction you want. Also with the device comes a little stand. I'll take that out. So when it is set up, this will go into the bottom like so, and then that will mean that your device is fully standing at all times, slightly reclined. So that's quite a nice feature. It takes quite a very small footprint on your desk. That's not going to take up too much room at all. But that is, if you did want it sat down, that's not going to work because the ports are at the back. So that's something to keep in mind. Overall, the build quality is quite nice. Once you've clicked everything into place properly, it's all made quite well. It is quite shiny on the front, so that might be something that you don't like. I've heard some bad reviews about the front, but personally I think it looks alright. It'll look alright on the side. So let's connect this up and see how well some of the features work. This is what you get when you log into the control panel for the router. As you can see, you're greeted with this nice page which tells you the internet status. and your wireless settings, and also how many devices are attached. You can click on that and view the different devices. For security reasons I won't do that, but it'll allow you to look at the different devices and blacklist them if needed, so that's quite nice. Going on to the internet settings, you can set up your connection via DHCP, static IP or PP over Ethernet, so that's very handy as well, and it tells you how long you've been connected. If you go into wireless settings, you can set your Wi-Fi name and password. You can enable a Wi-Fi schedule, so I've done this. So for example, from midnight till 6:45 in the morning every day, the Wi-Fi will switch off to save power. If I ever want to use it between these times, there's a little Wi-Fi button on the top of the router that I can press and on it will come, but that's quite handy. You can set specific days and specific times when the Wi-Fi will switch itself on and off. You can enable wireless repeating. You can set your channel and your bandwidth. You can condition your signal. So for example, I've got mine on low, but if you've got a house with very thick walls, you could set it to standard or high. But even on low, I get a very good signal and a very good internet connection anywhere in my two-story house, or even down the street or at the other end of my garden. So that just shows you how strong it is just on low. But if you wanted to, you could set that to standard or to high. And you also get WPS, which you can enable if you want. I've disabled that for now, but that's there. You can also set up a guest network. So I'll be changing these details later, but you can set up the names for your 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz guest networks. And you can even set the password for that. So that's quite handy if you've got guests that you don't want to give your normal details to. You can set up power save mode as well if you wish to use that on there. There's also the USB application, so you can plug in a printer, for example, and set up a printer so that you can print wirelessly. You can set up DLNA and file share. So I've used this, and with the USB 3.0 enabled hard drive, it is very, very fast indeed. You won't have any problems with it. In fact, it's one of the fastest I've seen, so that's very, very handy indeed. You can set up a VPN. Here you've got the advanced settings, so you can set up everything from parental control to bandwidth control. You can set up the different LEDs on it. You can set up something called Tenda Cloud, which allows you to download an app to your phone and control all of this through the app. You can set up remote web, DDNS, virtual servers, DMZ, UPnP, IPTV, and fast NAT. So they're all very handy as well. Going down, we've also got the system settings, so everything from your system status. You can set up your password, the address that you access your router on, your WAN settings, you can reboot it. Firmware upgrades are very easy. You just click on it, click on online upgrade, and it checks for the latest version. Thankfully I'm already on that latest version. You can backup and restore, you can reset it, you can view your system logs. You can schedule auto maintenance and set up the time and date. So overall, I'm very, very happy with this. It works very well. There are a few things missing that I would have liked. Most of all, I would have perhaps liked it if there was MAC filtering, which there isn't. There's a cut down version of it. You can click on the device that's already connected and block it. But you can't set it so that you've got a white list of different devices that are the only devices allowed to connect. So that's not a huge issue, but for some that might be a game changer. But besides that, this is an absolutely solid router. The speeds are fantastic. I've used it for well over a month now. I haven't had to reboot it at all. I've never dropped internet connection anywhere in the house. It's not gone slow anywhere in the house either. I've had upwards of 20 devices connected to Wi-Fi at one time and it still worked perfectly. I just can't fault it at all. It is a fantastic router, especially if you want to share some things through a USB port or through a network device to it. It is absolutely fantastic. Now, just a point, you might have noticed me struggling with the antenna when I was setting it up on earlier on in the video. That was my fault. You actually have to click each one into place and then it gets more sturdy. So they're a bit floppy in the video to begin with, but as soon as you've clicked it into place, you can adjust those to point in any which direction you like. So it's a great device. For the price, it's an absolute bargain. I would definitely recommend it. This is the Tenda AC15 router.